Hey, jazz fans. I'm Blair, and this is 5 Minute Fights Against Racism. Whenever I get in a discussion about racism, I always like to start with definitions to make sure we're talking about the same thing. The more I've read about racism and the more people I listen to, the more definitions I've found. Here's how I currently understand things. First, let's define race. At its very root, race refers to how we categorize human beings based on physical characteristics, like skin color is the most obvious one, but also eye shape, body frame, height, facial structure, hair, and other stuff. We're literally judging books by covers here. There used to be actual debates about whether black African people were even the same species as white Europeans. Eventually, the Human Genome Project came along, and scientists completely ended all those debates. Humans of all races, all colors, share 99.9% of our DNA. Scientists have definitively proven now how superficial it was to assume that physical characteristics could tell us anything about someone's intelligence or about their humanity. But a lot of people still don't know that science, or they don't believe it. That's where racism comes in. Let's go to Webster's dictionary, shall we? What's interesting about its definition of racism is that there are three definitions there. The first one is a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capacities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. So to put it in regular words, it's the belief that a person's race, which again, humans have made up based on surface level things like the color of our skin, that race determines how strong or how smart we can be, and that some races are superior to other races. The second definition looks at how racism works in society, doctrines or political programs based on racist assumptions. Racism is a system of advantages based on race. We can detect that based on real-life outcomes of policies and ideas. Here's a quick example. More black people are currently incarcerated for drug offenses in the United States, despite the fact that the majority of illegal drug users and dealers here are white. So if you're white and you break the law, you're more likely to either avoid punishment altogether or be given lighter sentences. If you think that's controversial, we'll get more into criminal justice in later 5-minute fights. All right, this is where I come into the story. If somebody were to call me racist in the past, I would have thought that was ridiculous. I didn't use racial slurs. I didn't tell racist jokes, and I believed that I should treat everybody equally. I would never commit such an obvious act of overt racism. But did I speak up when I heard a racist joke, or did I let it go? Did I let racist stereotypes slide? Or did I believe some of them myself that I learned from media and news, film? Did I try to learn about how racism is still alive and well in the criminal justice system, in banking and housing, in education and in healthcare? And did I try to do anything about that? Not really. So I've learned that I've been what some researchers would call passively racist. Psychologist Beverly Tatum compares the situation to those moving walkways at the airport. Active racism would be like walking or even running along the already moving ground. If I stand still, that conveyor belt still moves me along, though. By doing nothing, I move along. If I want to go the other way, I have to turn around and walk, and it takes extra effort to do that. This is all because racism is bigger than just me or you or the act of any single individual. We live in a society with systems that were built with racist intentions and with racist outcomes. This is the main way that I, as a racist person, have participated in racism. And in later 5-minute fights, we'll get into the statistics because there's a lot of denial about race-based injustices that happens today in America. We've got to refuse to overlook the problem of passive racism here in Utah. Certainly, there are some hardcore, actively racist people here in Utah. They use slurs, commit violence, spread racist stereotypes, and things like that. And we should actively oppose such things and correct such things when we see them. But it seems to me that more often, we just don't see the systems of racism that we benefit from every day. Or we look the other way when we do notice. Ibram X. Kendi said, "Denial is the heartbeat of racism." In the past, I probably would have been like, "No, it's not." See, but my defensive reflex only helps keep racism alive. It proves the point. A lot of this ignorance is understandable, I think, and in the next video, we'll talk about why by looking at Utah's population. Are we the whitest fan base in the NBA? Until then, here's your fight training assignment. Read Peggy McIntosh's Invisible Knapsack. These are questions that she put together 20 years ago for white people to think through how they experience race. And then you can also read Tran's updated Knapsack questions that came out this year. I put links in the video description, or you can just Google it. It should only take a few minutes, but hopefully you'll spend even more time thinking about it without defensiveness. Remember, denial is the heartbeat of racism. So to recap, racism is judging someone based on physical characteristics, most often skin color. But it also includes systems of oppression, systems of inequality that affect people of different races differently. And it includes any act of discrimination based on race, whether active or passive. More 5-minute fights against racism are on the way. Let's go, Jazz.